Wonders of Mongolia. Secret places. Only locals know about. Travel guide. Most people picture Mongolia as an endless stretch of empty land, a few horses moving slowly across open grass, and a distant yurt sitting under a massive sky. That image is not wrong, but it barely touches the surface of what this country actually holds. The surprising truth is that Mongolia contains some of the most extreme and emotionally powerful landscapes on Earth, yet many of them remain invisible to outsiders. There are places where silence feels physical, where distances stretch your sense of time, and where nature does not perform, it simply exists. This guide is about the places locals know through memory, movement, and tradition rather than popularity. These are locations that do not need attention to matter, and once you encounter them, they quietly change how you see the world. Altai Tavan Bogd. Altai Tavan Bogd rises from western Mongolia like a final frontier, where mountains dominate everything else without apology. Snow-covered peaks remain visible even in warmer months, casting long shadows across valleys carved by ice and time. Locals regard this region with deep respect, understanding how demanding and unforgiving it can be. Glaciers move slowly through the landscape, rivers cut sharply through rock, and weather shifts without warning. The journey to reach this area feels intentionally long, as if distance itself is part of the experience. Every step reinforces how remote and untouched this place remains. Standing here, surrounded by raw terrain and endless sky, it becomes clear how small human presence really is. It is not dramatic for effect, it is powerful simply because it exists. Orkhon Valley. Hidden sections. The Orkhon Valley is often described as the heart of Mongolian history, but its quieter sections hold the deepest sense of continuity. Away from well-known landmarks, the valley opens into wide grasslands shaped by centuries of nomadic movement. Locals read this land instinctively, understanding where water flows, where animals move, and where stories linger. The river curves gently through the landscape, reflecting clouds and sky in slow motion. Ancient traces of settlements and ceremonial spaces remain scattered quietly across the valley. Nothing is marked loudly, and that subtlety is intentional. The land feels lived in rather than preserved. Time stretches here, making modern urgency feel completely out of place. Kongerin Els singing. Dunes. Kongerin Els rises suddenly from the Gobi like a shifting wall of sand that never settles into one shape. These dunes stretch for miles, their ridges constantly redrawn by wind and light. Locals know the sound they make when conditions align, a deep hum that feels more felt than heard. Climbing the dunes is physically demanding, but the view from the top erases the effort instantly. The desert here is not empty, it is subtle and alive, changing color from pale gold to deep orange as the sun moves. Temperature shifts dramatically between day and night, adding another layer to the experience. Standing still, you begin to notice how quiet can feel vast rather than lonely. It is a place that teaches patience without instruction. Khövsgöl. Lake Remote Shores. Khövsgöl. Lake holds an almost unreal clarity, especially along its quieter, lesser visited shores. The water reflects the surrounding forest and sky so cleanly, it feels like looking into another world. Dense trees surround the lake, blending northern forest with open Mongolian land in a way that feels seamless. Locals treat the lake with reverence, understanding its spiritual and environmental importance. The air feels cooler, lighter, and calmer here, even during long summer days. Long stretches of shoreline remain untouched, allowing moments of complete stillness. Sound carries differently across the water, making even small movements feel significant. Being here feels restorative, like the landscape gently resets your internal rhythm. Tsagan. Suvarga. Tsagan. Suvarga rises from the desert like a natural archive, layers of limestone exposed through millions of years of erosion. The formations shift in color throughout the day, glowing white, pink, and orange depending on the sun's position. Locals often compare it to an ancient city, not because it resembles buildings, but because it feels deliberate and structured. The cliffs stretch farther than expected, revealing new angles as you move along them. Wind moves through the area constantly, shaping sound and temperature. The sense of time here is overwhelming, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, reflective one. Tsagan Suvarga does not demand attention, it rewards observation. The longer you stay, the more layered it becomes. Darhad Valley. The Darhad Valley sits deep in northern Mongolia, surrounded by mountains that create a sense of isolation without confinement. This region remains closely tied to traditional nomadic life, where seasonal movement still shapes daily decisions. Rivers weave through the valley, reflecting sky and clouds in gentle patterns. Locals live in close relationship with the land, responding to weather and terrain rather than resisting it. The valley feels expansive yet personal, open but protected. Modern noise feels distant here, not because it is forbidden, but because it simply does not belong. Days unfold slowly, guided by light and landscape. Being in the Darhad Valley feels like stepping into a rhythm that has existed far longer than any map. Baga Gazrin Chulu. Baga Gazrin Chulu rises unexpectedly from the steppe, a massive granite formation surrounded by otherwise open land. From afar it feels isolated, but once you enter it, the area feels surprisingly complex. Locals move through its rocky corridors with ease, familiar with hidden paths and quiet corners. Ancient ruins and carved symbols remain scattered across the stone, blending history directly into the terrain. The rocks change color as light shifts, creating subtle transformations throughout the day. Wind moves differently here, echoing between stone walls. It is a place that invites exploration without offering direction. Every turn reveals something new, but nothing feels forced. Terelj Lesser known. Valleys. Gorky. Terelj is known to many, but its lesser-known valleys hold a calmer, more authentic atmosphere. Away from crowded landmarks, the land opens into wide meadows and gently flowing rivers. Granite formations soften into the landscape rather than dominating it. Locals come here for space and quiet rather than scenery alone. Wildlife appears naturally, moving without urgency or fear. The environment feels balanced, neither wild nor controlled. Long walks turn into unplanned pauses as the landscape draws your attention inward. It feels like a place meant to be experienced slowly, without an agenda. Ulan Taiga, remote forests. The Ulan Taiga region feels like one of Mongolia's last untouched forest worlds. Dense trees stretch endlessly, broken only by rivers, clearings, and open sky. This area is home to reindeer herders whose lives remain deeply connected to the forest. Locals understand this land through experience, memory, and movement, rather than navigation tools. The air feels cooler and heavier, filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. Sound becomes muted, absorbed by trees and distance. Every step feels immersive, like entering a space that does not revolve around human presence. It is quiet without feeling empty, alive without trying to show it. Mongolia is not a place that reveals itself quickly, and that is exactly why it stays with you. They remind us that some of the most powerful experiences in the world remain quiet by choice. If any of these places stayed in your thoughts or reshaped how you see Mongolia, let that curiosity continue. Share your reflections in the comments, support the journey by liking the video, and subscribe to keep exploring places that rarely make the spotlight. Some wonders do not ask to be seen, but once they are never forgotten.